Hello, Mr. Witt's class. I am Mr. Jepson. I am Maddie's dad, and I am today's mystery reader. And I'm going to be reading to you guys my favorite childhood book. It's a book called If I Ran the Circus by Dr. Seuss. You guys ready for this? It's kind of a crazy book. All right, here we go. In all the whole town, the most wonderful spot is behind Sneelock's store in a big vacant lot. It's just the right spot for my wonderful plans, said young Morris McGurk, if I clean up the cans. Now a fellow like me, said young Morris McGurk, could get rid of this junk with half hour's work. I could yank up those weeds and chop down the dead tree and haul off those old cars. There are just 2 or 3. And then the whole place would be ready, you see. All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think I will call it the Circus McGurkus. The Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show on the face of the earth, or wherever you go. The Circus McGurkus, the cream of the cream. The Circus McGurkus, the circus supreme. The Circus McGurkus, colossal, stupendous, astounding, fantastic, terrific, tremendous. I'll bring in my acrobats, jugglers, and clowns from 1,033 faraway towns to the place that you'll see him in, ladies and gents, right behind Sneelock's store in the great McGurk tents. And I don't suppose old Mr. Sneelock will mind when he suddenly has a big circus behind. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends. He might even help me doing small odds and ends, like doing little odd jobs. He could be of some aid, such as selling balloons and pink lemonade. I think 500 gallons will be about right. And then I'll be ready for opening night. What an opening night. What a sight. What a night. I'll hoist up the curtains. The crowds will crowd in. My Circus McGurkus will promptly begin with a welcoming toot on my welcoming horn from my horn-tooting apes from the jungles of Jorn, where the very best horn-tooting apes are all born, because the very fresh air there is fine for their lungs, and some of those fellows have 2 or 3 tongues. This way, step right in this way, ladies and gents. My sideshow starts here in the first of my tents. When you see what goes on, you'll say no other circus is half the great circus the Circus McGurkus is. Here on stage 1 from the Ocean of Ulf is a sight most amazing. A walrus named Rolf who can stand on 1 whisker. This wonderful Rolf on top of 5 balls, 2 for tennis, 3 golf. It's a marvelous trick, if I say so myself. And on stage number 2, here's something quite new from a country called From. Comes this drum-tummied snum who can drum any tune that you might care to hum. Doesn't hurt him a bit, because his drum tummy's numb. And you'll now meet the Foon, the remarkable Foon who eats sizzling hot pebbles that fall off the moon. And the reason he likes them red hot, it appears, is he greatly enjoys blowing smoke from his ears. Of course, pebbles like this are quite hard to collect, but Sneelock will manage somehow, I expect. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends, and I'm sure he'll help out doing small odds and ends. And on stage number 4, see the wily Waloo who can throw his long tail as a sort of lasso with a flip of his hip. With a tail of this kind, he can capture whoever is standing behind. He can capture old Sneelock. I'm sure he won't mind. And now here is a hoodwink who winks in his wink hood without a good wink hood. A hoodwink can't wink good. And folks, let me tell you, there's only one circus with a wink-hooded hoodwink. The Circus McGurkus. The show of all shows. There's no other showman who shows you a show with a blindfolded bowman. The blindfolded bowman from Brigger Barut, the world's sharpest sharpshooter. Look at him shoot through the holes in 4 donuts, 2 hairs on a worm, and the knees of 3 birds without making them squirm, and then on through a crab apple up on the head of Sneelock, who likes to help out, as I've said. And now come to this spot where the spotlight is hot, and you'll see in the spotlight a juggling jot who can juggle some stuff you might think he could not, such as 22 question marks, which is a lot. Also 44 commas and also 1 dot. That's the kind of Circus McGurkus I've got. But that's just my sideshow, a start, a beginning. This way to the big tent, you'll find your head spinning. Why, ladies and gentlemen, youngsters and oldsters, your head will quite likely spin right off your shoulders. So hurry, step lively, quick, ladies and gents, and get into your seats in my tent of all tents. My parade of parades is about to commence. You'll see drum major Sneelock fling flang his baton on my organ, McGorgon McGurkus come on with his hot steaming pipes of gold, brass plated tin, snorting all sorts of snorts in a bumbling din. This is super, stupendous, stupendous, do-roarous, and when I play Dixie, please join in the chorus. Then a fluff, muffled truffle will ride on a huffle, and next in line a fine flummox will shuffle. The flummox will carry a lurch in a pail, and a fibble will carry the flummox tail. On top of the flummox, 3 harp twang and snarp will twang mighty twangs on their 3-snarper harp, while the bolster blows bloops on a 3-nozzled blueser, and a nolster blows floops on a 1-nozzled newser, and then comes a lion who's partly a trout and then more stuff for 45 minutes about. It's a lot of stuff. And then, behind them, while everyone stares, come my to and fro marchers, who march in 5 layers. The twos march on, or the fro's march on twos, and the twos march on fro's. Don't know how they do it, but that's how it goes. And now comes an act of enormous, no form of performance. Perform this performance. The sun is too grippingly, slippingly frightening down from the top of my tent like greased lightning through pots full of lots of big sticklebush trees. Besides a man, what a man on his roller skate skis, and he'll steer without fear, and you'll know at a glance that it's Sneelock, the man who takes chances for chance, and he won't even rip a small hole in his pants. And now here in this cage is a beast most ferocious, who's known far and wide as a spotted atrocious, who growls, howls, and yowls the most blood-curdling sounds, and each tooth in his mouth weighs at least 60 pounds, and he chews up and he eats with the greatest of ease things like carpets and sidewalks and people and trees. But the great Colonel Sneelock is just the right kind of a man who can tame him. I'm sure he won't mind. Then I'll let Sneelock off for a few minutes' rest, while high over your heads you'll see the best of the world's finest, fanciest breezy trapezing, my Zoom-a-Zoop troop from West Upper Bendizing, who never quite know, while they zoop and they zoom, whether which will catch what one and who will catch whom, or if who will catch which by the what and just where, or just when and just how, in which part of the air. Aye, what a circus, my McGurkus, my workers love work. They say, work us, please work us. We'll work and we'll work up so many surprises you'll never see half if you had 40 eyeses. And now, again, Sneelock, brave Sneelock is back, risking life on my patent and life-risking track with the speedsters I call colliding collusions, race round in swift cars called abrasion contusions, and Sneelock just lies there not one bit excited. I know he won't mind. He'll be simply delighted. And here, in a contest of brute strength and muscle, Kid Sneelock, my champ of all champs, will now tussle and wrestle a beast called the Grizzly Ghastly and slap him around. Then he'll slam him down fastly and pin both his shoulders right flat to the mat. Kid Sneelock will love it. I'm sure about that. And while that goes on there, look at this go on here. Have you heard of my herd of through horns jumping deer? Every deer jumps through horns of another pell-mell, while his horns are jumped through at the same time as well by a deer whose horns also are being jumped through by another who's having his horns jumped through too, which I'm sure Trainer Sneelock can train them to do. Then the whole tent will ring with hoorays and wild shouts when I wheel in my whales and they turn on their spouts. First whale number 1 with an aim that aims true spouts a spout that spouts Sneelock to whale number 2. Then whale number 2 spouts a spout like a gun and that spout spouts old Sneelock right back to whale 1. And then forwards and backwards on spout after spout, my great spout rider Sneelock gets spouted about just as long as the water they're spouting holds out. Then my tournament knights, noble apes without fear, Sir Hector, Sir Vector, Sir Bopson, Sir Beers, Sir Hawkins, Sir Dawkins, Sir Jockson, Sir Jeers, clatter into the tent while everyone cheers, stage a roustabout joust with their boxing glove spears. And while all this wild ruckusing goes on below at the top of the tent, look, the star of my show, great daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. He comes pulled through the air by 3 Snoobrian snipe on a dingus contraption attached to his pipe, and while people below are all turning chalk white and all biting their fingernails off in their fright, great Sneelock soars up to a terrible height. Oh my. Then he shakes himself loose. He starts down in a dive such as no man on earth could come out of alive. But he smiles as he falls, and no fear does he feel. His nerves are like iron, his muscles like steel, as he plunges down, with his hair still combed neat. 4,692 feet. It's a long way down. Then he'll land in a fishbowl. He'll manage just fine. Don't ask me how he'll manage. That's his job, not mine. Why, he'll be a hero. Of course he won't mind when he finds that he has a big circus behind. All right. Love you, Booms.